Hi everybody, it's Claire back with another art journal video. So this one was inspired by Dina Wakley, who was inspired by this inspiration deck from Katie Daisy called How to Be a Wildflower. There are lots of cards inspired by nature in this deck. As you can see, they're really pretty. And on the back there's like little quotes as well. So this was the one that Dina pulled out to play with, and I was so inspired by watching what she did in her supporters video with this that I decided to have a go. So quite often backgrounds are not these dark colours I'm about to use. So I'm starting off with night. So basically I'm going to take the card and use that as the inspiration for the page. Kind of going with the way the card's been designed and taking inspiration from that, just to get started really. So using night as the initial dark background and then putting some lapis in there as well. These colours are so gorgeous together. As you know, I like bright colours, so for me this was a bit unusual, but I loved how this worked together. These colours, then with the dark things that get added over the top. It was such a great way to create a page. Okay, so then I decided that I would do some sort of joined up journaling. So all my words joined together with no breaks in them at all, so you can't really read it. But I'm still journaling the thoughts that are in my head, and I'm kind of journaling over some of the paint as well and onto some of the craft background that's showing through. I did a couple of little bits. Then I grabbed some stamps that I've made myself. You could use any stamps for this though, and just added a little bit of stamping on there too. So this is the Growing Things, or is it Things That Grow, one of those stencil and stamp set from Dina Wakley, and I'm going in here using black paint. And you wouldn't think this would work over the background, but it really, really does. It works really well. And then I decided that I would flip the images and use them up the other way on the top of the page. Okay, so this is turquoise, and I'm just doing a few splatters using this. And I quickly realised that actually the black images were disappearing underneath the splatters. So once they were dry, I then decided that I would go back in with the stencil and add the black images over the top of the splatters, just to pop those back into the foreground again. And once I decided I was going to do that, it meant I could go a bit more crazy with the splatters, so it didn't really matter that those had disappeared. So I'm just matching the stencil back over the place where I initially did my stenciling and going back in with the black paint and just popping those images back in into the foreground, I guess, of the page. And then I'm using it's a flat brush with quite a small head, and I'm just going in and doing some freehand botanical over the top of the ones that I've already stenciled onto the page. And you see here I'm just putting them behind as well, in some places, but just kind of filling the space that's left with leaf shapes and branches. So then once that was dry and completely dry, I then started trying to do my rendition of the moths that are on this page. So I've started off with white as my base colour just to paint those moths in. I've also got a bit of elephant there, and so I just kind of layer the colours just to get the shading and the shadows right on the moth, and to get some definition in there. I also end up using a bit of tiny bit of black as well. So this next bit really is just me kind of working on the moths and getting all the little patterns and marks on them right, doing a bit of colour mixing just to get those colours right. Yeah, so you can watch me doing these moths, painting the moths onto my page. So one of the great things about an inspiration deck like this is that if you have those times when you think I'd really want to do something creative or play in my journal, but you're really stuck for inspiration, this is a great way to just have a flick through, find one that really speaks to you, whether it's because of the images or the words, and then just take that as your starting point and use the colours or the images or the shapes, the patterns, whatever that's on there as your starting point for your page. It's a really stress-free way to create. So I can really recommend getting hold of an inspiration deck like this one if you can't get this one. So then it was time to add my words onto my page. And the white worked really well on here because the background was so dark. But you can see my gel pen was being a little bit naughty. It wanted to not keep writing. I think sometimes they can misbehave a little bit. Okay, so I think I was quite happy with how that went, and then I decided I would just add a few more white splatters, not too many, onto my page just to finish it off. And there we are, that's it finished. So there's little close-ups of the moths. You can see they're not really that detailed, enough detail for them to be interesting. But I love the dark background with the black stenciling over the top. It's quite a dramatic way to create a page. So thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed watching me create this page, and I hope to see you again soon.